Hello and welcome back to the second instalment of our Workplace Relations on Demand series. I'm Sally and I have Lisa with me today, and we're going to be talking you through a few quick queries that we get regarding ending employment. So the first one that we're going to talk about today, Lisa, is where an employee gives more notice than they're required to give under their contract of employment. Effectively, for example, they might give you, say, 3 months notice when they're only contractually required to give you 4 weeks.
Yes, we do get this question a lot, and it's an interesting one. So there's a number of reasons why this would crop up. Often it's an employee wanting to do the right thing and help their employer plan around their absence when they're going. Conversely, I guess there are other situations where, from an employer's perspective, if that employee is moving on, they don't necessarily want them in the business for a long period or extended period of time. So if an employer has a formal resignation from an employee that has excessive or extended notice, they're not required to accept that extra notice. What they can do is to accept the resignation itself and to attach to that the appropriate amount of notice, which might come from the award or contract. So if it was 4 weeks, and they could actually elect to pay that period out. So it could be, I accept the resignation as of today, and instead of you working your 4 weeks that you're required to give notice, I'm electing to pay you out that period of notice and finish you up. A couple of caveats, I suppose, is that it is important if an employer is looking at that part that they do it at the time of the resignation. It's not something that can be kind of entered into midway through a resignation period. So the other thing that we do see once we do move into that payment of paying out an employee in lieu of notice, what happens with annual leave accruals for that period of time?
So I guess, and the question is often asked, that if I'm paying an employee in lieu of notice, does annual leave accrue on the notice period of which I'm paying out? And the short answer is no, it doesn't accrue. And the reason for this is that paid leave entitlements such as personal leave and annual leave accrue on hours worked, and given the employee is not working, they're being paid in lieu of the notice period, it just simply wouldn't accrue during the notice period.
And that's where that phrasing of ordinary time earnings is coming into it as well, isn't it?
That's right.
Okay.
So if they'd worked the notice period, then yes, the annual leave would accrue, but if it's paid out, then the answer is no.
Okay. Great, and then following from that, I suppose, you've got an end date coming. What happens around the processing of the final pay? Obviously, we've got a situation if you're paying out notice rather than the employee working it out, you've got a termination date that's fairly imminent or quite soon, perhaps on the spot. What happens with the differences in payment times there?
So generally speaking, and it's been a situation for a while where there weren't any hard and fast rules about when final pays had to be processed. It may have been done with the next pay run, or it may have been done as a separate one-off payment by the employer. There's a number of ways in which it was done. And generally speaking now, if you have an employee that's not covered by an award, then the situation remains as it has been previously. Now, however, if you are covered by a modern award, as of November last year, there was an inclusion inserted into a number of the modern awards whereby if an employee is terminated, you are required to process their final pay, so any outstanding wages and entitlements, within 7 days. So that's really important to be mindful of, because any failure to do it within that time frame will be a breach of the award.
Yes, which obviously can carry some fairly serious consequences. So I guess the take home from that is to make sure that as an employer, you know what you're dealing with in terms of award coverage, and then getting into those exact requirements, because they can be quite prescriptive in terms of what's required now.
That's right.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us.